Now, another problem most people seem to have is they don't know how to play by all the rules. Now, the idea of marriage is simply, in some people's culture, finding a cohabitant that's the opposite sex, usually, and staying with that person as if you were a couple. Simply put. Now, in Jewish society, because they had more arranged marriages and things like that, well, it was chosen by the parents who you would marry. And yes, it's more difficult to fall in love, but you were still expected to have love for your spouse either way, right? So that's just as complicated, though, either way, as if you were not in an arranged marriage either, right? Now, I keep explaining to you, the law is different also per state. Another thing, when you make movies in California or New York, guess what the age of consent in those two states are? 18. Well, that's what they gotta say is the age of consent, right? And that's why the actresses in California cannot do nude scenes or sex scenes until they're over what? 18. Like Phoebe Katz or Jennifer Jason Leigh, for example. Now, even though I've seen movies with both ladies butt-ass naked, guess what? That's all it means, is I've seen the movies with both ladies butt-ass naked, right? Don't mean I had sex with them. It don't mean I didn't fantasize about sex with them. But I didn't act on it. See, that's where you're still playing by the rules. Oh, no. All the rules. It didn't become a sin for you by just masturbating to her either, or them either. Now, the thing is, though, if I'm having a wet dream about them both, too, right? In the wet dream, I can think a minute of Jennifer, and I can think a minute of Phoebe, and I can think a minute of Jennifer, and then I'm in a menage a trois, you know what I mean? There's no limit in a fantasy to the number of women you can be with while you're fantasizing. You can have a menage a 560 and no one even know, right? Thinking of a bunch of different rooms. But it's still, right, a wet dream. It's still, right, nocturnal sex, right? You're still thinking of women and not men, right? If you're a male, right? Now, when the males start thinking of other males, they're doing what? Going gay. And that's the point, too, right? You're training yourself in the way you should go. Gay or straight, by the way. Now, if someone tells you you don't have a choice but to be gay, and you feel gay, what do you think you're going to do? Feel gay still, right? But if someone tells you you do have a choice, and you can feel straight, and you still choose to feel gay, what do you think you're doing there? Ignoring the other person. Both are only advice, right? But here's the point about a choice. Even when you choose not to choose, you're still making a choice. That's the final point about a choice. Damn. Now, what's the problem if Amanda or Daphne or none of this was brought up until I got on YouTube? There's no evidence at all. Anything happened, right? It's my word against your word. And you could be imagining it because you're obviously not Amanda or Daphne. Right. Or they would have done something that happened or could have happened. Right. They would have had the evidence then if there was any, by the way. And you can't even prove if someone licked her one time, which is the point about making that statement, too. Whether I did or not. Whether you did or not. You can't prove it 11 years later on YouTube. That's why it's sarcasm. To an idiot who is just accusing me without any proof, calling their channel shame on you, shame. That's all I know about them, too. Right. Idiot. And incriminating yourself because you seem to know more about it than me. And you can't unless we discussed it. All that proves is we may have discussed it at some point in time, right? That's it. Or you found out about it and started harping on it after 11 years have passed, right? Still don't prove it happened or who you are to the girl, right? Or aren't to the girl. That's the point, too. You gotta prove it beyond all reasonable doubt, too. You do. Not me. I'm not accusing you of a damn thing, right? You're accusing me. When? 11 years later. 11 years later. That's way past if there was any concept of statutes of limitations. Right? What that means is there was no evidence gathered at the event time, right? To show anything happened, not even licking her one time, which is the point as to the only thing I could admit sarcastically, right? Is that I could have licked her for one time, right? And that's why it's sarcasm, right? You can't prove that either, right? Not in court. Even with video, you can't prove that I licked her one time, right? I can say I was trying to smell her. See, that gives me a different way of explaining that, too. It gives me what's called a loophole. See, if my stepdaughter were to wake me up in the middle of the night, I got to figure out why. What's she in there for? And one of the two reasons could be to pee in the toilet. And we're in the living room, so she has to walk to the damn toilet. I could even explain if I had to pull down her panties, right? So she can walk to the toilet if she's in the living room with me. You see what I mean? Yeah. Exactly. I can explain it all. I know. With no crime occurring in that I'm her stepfather at the time. Yeah. With any of these issues or possibilities that could have happened, right? None of it is criminal actions of anyone playing a role other than her stepfather if she were to wake him up. Right. Now, what can't go on, like I told you before, is if someone coached her to come in there to me, but only she again. Right. And you still can't prove it. It's only to accuse the person and ask them, well, how do you know? Unless you coached her yourself, right? Because you can't know that happened, right? No, you can't. No one can. You're not omniscient, right? No one's omniscient here. No. If you say you omniscient, you have a God complex, and that's a worse mental illness than schizophrenia. Schizophrenia just means I'm hearing voices occasionally, right? Having a God complex means you think you're God, there's no other God but you, and you have the right to dictate what's right or wrong in the person's life, which is not what the real God is doing, right? That's what the lying God, the false God, the God trying to replace God is doing, right? Who we know as Satan, right? He's also pretending he's omniscient, so you what? Pretend. Right. Now, another thing is when you gotta win at all costs, even if you cheat to win, right? That's wrong, too. No. Not even Amanda or Daphne, who are the only two in the apartment at the time, right? Who have to bring it up themselves, can prove it happened after so long, right? There's a reason for that, too. You can't charge someone with murder 11 years later with no evidence they committed a murder, even if they committed a murder, right? You understand? If there's no evidence of said murder, and whatever they did to murder someone, right, or not, you have to have proof they did it, or it's just an accusation, right? Another point as well. And I'm just talking to you about it. What is a crime? What is the nature of a crime? When did the crime occur? What date and time, right? What place on the ship, if it was on the ship. I know. What compartment was it in if Ben raped me or I had sex with him? You gotta be that specific, so does Ben. So does Ben. Right. You gotta name a person, a place, and a time, right? And if he was alone or not, too, right? Or how I went with him when I don't recall going with him anywhere. I avoided him, right? That's what I told you. I know. I can't prove that. You can't prove that. Right, exactly. And what's making me mad about it is you won't let it go either. Paul didn't say you couldn't be angry. He said just don't let it become wrath. Oh. So you're purposely throwing this at me to try and make me angry, which it will. No. Even Jesus got angry and cast out the money changers, right? At what they were doing, right? But you notice, right? Even with whips and chains, right? Whatever, right? Playing Indiana Jones, I guess, right? He just cast them out. He didn't try to kill them or murder them or judge them under condemnation, but he didn't like what they were doing at all, right? Now, in a way, he vandalized the temple where that was being done. No, exactly. But at the same time, right, he did nothing wrong. Either in doing that either. And he was upset with him or very angry, right? But he also didn't let it become wrath either, right? He didn't let it keep bothering him, right? Even if they set it up the next day too. You know what I mean, right? He just did it once and he was done with it, right? Now, if you keep bringing it up every day, I keep having to what? Defend yourself every day. Right. That's the point too, right? If you drop it, I can drop it and go on and do something else, right? If you don't, you don't. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I don't have to drop it either, right? Like I just saw Suicide Squad. And who's Milton? Yeah, I don't know Milton either. Except Milton Berle. That's not a normal name. But it is, guess what? A normal name. Right? Someone, at least one person, was given the name Milton. Whatever it means, too, right? Whether a stage name or a real name or a birth name, right? I know. But who would turn down any fine woman coming to your door in the middle of the night and you're seeing them trying to find life, right? No man. Right. But guess what? If you're doing it to trick me, you're doing it in the wrong idea, not me. Not you. Even if I let you be on top or I'm not sure, I'm trying to make sure, right? You really want the sex, right? Once you give me the sex, if you harm me or you know someone's planning to harm me after the sex, right? That's on you and them too, right? By the way. Even if it's an underage girl or not. Now, like I keep telling you, 16 in Georgia is the age of consent. Not 18. Not, again, that I go after 16-year-old girls at all. I'm not going after no one right now because I'm not in the ability to really meet someone, and I know that. Right. But you can't take advantage of that either. Unless you really are. Whole point. Really. Whole point too. Mm-hmm. But even movies like Wonder Woman are meant to be moral and objective movies if you watch them the right way. If you watch them the right way. But again, right, you can also have a problem with it if you want to. That's still not keeping the whole law. Mm-hmm. You're nitpicking, you're splitting hairs, you're trying to make something evil good or good evil, right? And then you're losing sight of what is really good or evil. Mm-hmm. And that becomes discernment of good and evil. Are you discerning it correctly? Right. If no, then no. If yes, then yes. And that's why God only offers you forgiveness and repentance and salvation through Jesus Christ. Right. Satan, on the other hand, wants you to condemn each other for every mistake you make, even small ones, And that's why you're condemning each other for SHIT or NIGGER or FUCK. Words that had a meaning, but people use derogatory, right, or positive, right. And what, you can't ever say don't commit fornication, right, or don't FUCK somebody, right? Same thing. The Bible does not say you cannot say a list of words. Men do. Women do too. And then guess what? You're just either saying the word anyway, which they call that a sin, which they call that like it's a crime, right? You go into hell. They say, no, I'm not. That's not why we're going to hell. That's not why we're going to hell. Plus, we're all in the same boat. We're all dying. Even Jesus died and had to be resurrected again. Mm-hmm. So I'm again reading about that more and more, right? And I just got done reading the next chapter in Wisdom, and now it's talking about the rivers rising, right? And floods, and right. But it's in the Apocrypha, not in the Old Testament, right? See, people are lying that Jesus didn't use the Apocrypha as well as the Old, right? See, the disciples want you to just think he only used, well, anybody used the Apocrypha too. So they're lying about it, right? They're being more Jewish than Gentile Jewish, right? They're being more for their own people than they are for the world, right? And Jesus also died for the sins of the world, right? That's the first passage we're taught in Sunday school class. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not die but have everlasting life. Right? Something like that. Mm-hmm. I know. Though God sent his Son into the world not to condemn the world, right, but that the world through him might be what? Saved. Y'all forget that little scripture too, right? You start condemning with Satan. No. I know. We become condemners all over again. You do. And you make up stories that didn't happen, right? I told you for 19 years none of this happened, right? I'm no spring chicken on YouTube. I've been on since it started, right? Even though I told you some of my channels were taken down. I'm trying to explain that even on those channels, right? Mm-hmm. And it's for educational purposes. I'm doing everything. Mm-hmm. Even then. Because everything I done was a cappella or to make a point, right, about something someone else was doing to their own child to make them feel like, to use the word mother trucker with the FUCKER word behind it. Which can still have a meaning. Now, you know you're not supposed to have sex with your father and your mother. And your mother. And no one's saying you did or didn't, right? But don't be a mother trucker, Fucker, either. Yourself. I am running out of space. This is 20 minutes again, right? Because throughout the day, why do I post videos? To see what we're going to see. To see what we're going to do about it. See if we're going to help you or not. See if we believe you or not. That's why. That's all. And guess what? I already have been told you won't believe me. Right. Not just by you. Not just by you. By everyone around me, I've been told they won't believe me. Right? Because you're not believing in the Bible, all of it in the first place. Right? I already know I was shown things after I got into the military that nobody in Georgia even thought of showing me. If you understand what I mean. Right. But like I told you, Georgia back then was homophobic, so I wasn't even trying in my teenage years to get with nobody. And in my Navy years, I was dating women and not being with men. Right. To my knowledge and belief. Right. Not your knowledge or Ben's knowledge. Right. Ben don't count now either. No. It's almost 30 years since I've even been on the ship. Over 30 years. Since I even been on the damn ship. And I have no memory of Ben trying to do anything with me. Right. Not the first year, the second year, or the third year I'm on the ship, which is the year I also got off the ship, right? Before the end of the year, right? Now, I told you what I did for work. The first year, I tried to work with them, right? The second year, they put me working in the head or the bathroom. The third year, they had me doing the watches and working from 8 to 12, and then going on the watch, and then 12 to 4s at night, too, right? That's where I was at with them, too, right? Though they never, none of them tried to code red me or try to rape me or anything, right? Unless I had to do something supernatural to get out of it, by the way, right? And fight them all, right? Off, right? Which, again, is changing your story anyway, right? Then it wasn't just Ben trying to have sex with me. It was the whole group of them, right? Or more than men, right? Trying to have sex with me, right? And that's called a gang rape, right? If more than one person, and you keep telling them no, want sex with you, and you done told them no, you have the right to tell them no. That's another reason I encourage ladies to watch SVU, and if they're alone with a guy, no, if you say no, he's raping you, you have a right to file charges against him, right? But you gotta do it quick. You gotta go to the police quick. You gotta go to the hospital and get checked out, right? And show you have been assaulted through sexual means, right? That's why I encourage ladies to watch SVU. So that if you are raped, you know what to do. But you can't, again, if I know that, Comcast girl or Michelle, take advantage of me either, or lie to me either, right? Or do it with me and say yes. Yeah. Yourself either. Even if I'm on top, you're on top. Right. None of that matters if you're not saying no either, right? But of course you're confused. But no one's controlling your vocal cord to stop you from saying no, yes, or maybe, right? If I ask to kiss you, I'm going to kiss you so much. If I ask to blow in your ear, I'm going to blow in your ear so much. If I ask to kiss your neck, I'm going to kiss your neck so much, right? And then I'm going to play with your boobies so much. And then I'm going to do your vagina so much. And then I'm going to have sex with you so long. Right. And then it's over. And then it's over. But that's also what? Giving you time to say yes or no, too. That's right. That's right. All that will give you time to say no, right? Or stop, right? Which is all you got to say. And I would tell you that beforehand, right? All of that. All of that. No, the really, really. Mm-hmm. So who doesn't get in trouble? So Shane doesn't get in trouble. Bye.